What is good, Defenders Nation, and welcome to One More Sleep. You know what time it is. If it's the night before a match, then it's time for One More Sleep. And this one, not just any match in the regular season. I like a couple of names that I came up with. Lafferty, you can give us some if you'd like as well. But first of all, let's get the introductions out of the way. You know my voice. It's the Scarf. J.R. Liebert coming to you live. And of course, on the other side of the interwebs, without his Chicago Bulls jersey, even though he absolutely has a reason to have his Chicago Bulls jersey up in the background, I give you LAFC laugh, Chris Lafferty.
You talking about this one right here? Hey!
Yeah.
Hello, Defenders. Thank you. It's great to be back. Scarf, I'm happy to be here with you tonight. I know Philly is incredibly busy. He's prepping for a couple of broadcasts this weekend as well. I had some plans. I was thinking maybe I'll go down to Anaheim to catch my New York Rangers playing the Ducks, especially after I saw them get beat by your Los Angeles Kings on Tuesday. But I said, you know what? Nope, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to do one more sleep with Scarf. And I said, no one wants to hear about my stories and tales of my obscure non-LA sports teams anyway. So why not come on here and do the episode and, well, unintentionally wear the same shirt as you, too.
That was solid. We didn't plan this, you guys, but you
Yep.
can head on over to defendersofthebank.com, click on the shop icon, and you can buy one of these cool Saved by the Bell inspired Defenders of the Bank shirts. Thank you so much to Dexter Quinn for designing all of our merch. He has to deal with me and all of my input on all of this stuff. So God bless the man because he is more patient than most. That's for sure. Yeah, this is not just any One More Sleep. We mentioned it. It's the first time that LAFC will be playing San Diego FC. Look, I initially came up with the Surfliner Showdown. I thought that was kind of a fun one. But, last night I was thinking about a couple of things, and I was like, everyone's talking about Steve Cherundolo going home, with a San Diego native. I kind of like the Cherundolo Clasico. I thought that was a fun one. I don't know. I know obviously once Steve isn't coach of LAFC at some point, because yes, at some point that will happen, then Cherundolo Clasico might not work, but I don't know. It kind of, they both end in O, so it sounds cool, I guess. We'll go with that. I don't know. Lafferty, any of them your favorites? I've heard all kinds of weird stuff, but I don't know. What do you think?
Well, you came up with two great ones. And honestly, I had ones that were just basically along the same vein as those. Whenever I go down to San Diego, I typically take the Surfliner down there anyway. And I found that taking their trains around town, I've gotten a little more used to as well. So I like the Surfliner Showdown. And you know what? As far as Steve Cherundolo being from San Diego, and I'll make that statement right now. I hope that, like you said, when Steve is no longer our coach, that won't work. Well, I hope that is years and years and years down the road because I like Steve. I love what he's doing, and I'll make that statement. I'm not afraid to say it publicly.
Yeah, LAFC supporter 209 pointing out that LAFC versus San Jose doesn't have a name yet. That's just because we're their daddy, I think, is the only reason why that doesn't have a name yet. That 2019 game? I think it was, where the iconic photo of Steven Beitashour standing in front of the LAFC supporters holding up the scarf. Imad is without a doubt like one of the best things going in the entire LAFC organization. And the coffee table book that LAFC should be making for like the 10-year anniversary of LAFC, of just Imad's incredible photos that he's taken over the years. That's got to be one of the first couple. It's just incredible. So look, very excited about this match, whether you call it the Cherundolo Clasico or whether you call it the Surfliner Showdown or was it the 110 Derby, or I don't know what they're trying to call it. I don't know. But look, either way, hopefully we're going to get to go down there tomorrow at Snapdragon and see a win. This, obviously, like we mentioned, the first time that LAFC is taking on San Diego. So let's talk a little bit more about San Diego. First and foremost, their head man, Mikey Veras. Mikey Veras helped the U.S. men's national team under 20s qualify for the Olympics before being given the task of coaching the U.S. men's national team, not the U20s, but the senior team, the one that keeps losing to like Panama and Canada and everybody else right now. He unfortunately had a 0-1-1 record in his 2 matches as he was like caretaker manager. He lost 2-1 to Canada. Imagine that. And then a 1-1 loss or 1-1 draw to New Zealand in his 2 matches. He also spent some time under Luchi Gonzalez at the FC Dallas organization, but he is the head man down in San Diego, plucked away from the U.S. men's national team. So, he doesn't have quite the coaching pedigree that a lot of people thought. Bob Bradley was the rumor for quite some time. Of course, with Tom Penn running the show down there, one of several LAFC connections that we're going to talk about. A lot of people thought it might be Bob Bradley, but Mikey Veras, a younger, more up-and-coming name, kind of like a Steve Cherundolo several years ago for LAFC. So Mikey Veras, he'll take the reins, and he has had them for the first 5 matches. San Diego, 2 wins, 1 loss, and 2 draws over their first 5 matches. So they are in 8th place right now, I think, with their 8 points. 4th place, I think, with their 8 points, in the standings. And I think Mikey Veras has done a pretty good job. It's like an international house of pancakes menu on that roster. Oh my God. I think they have players from like 15 different countries in their 22, 23 guys, which is awesome. I mean, that's what I love most about the global game, is that I get to look up obscure teams in like Cyprus and Finland and Norway when I'm talking about my player to watch for this next game. So really excited about that. Look, I'm excited to see San Diego. One of my favorite things about it, Lafferty, is they announced that one of their colors was chrome, like 3 days after the state of California outlawed chrome in all forms in all of its auto body shops. So solid. I think their kit was given the 30th ranked kit out of 30 new kits in MLS so far this season. So it's been a solid start at the Snapdragon for San Diego.
Well, that little snafu is second only to the Chicago Fire's choosing Carvana as their kit sponsor, when years ago the Attorney General in Illinois banned or revoked the license to do business in the state of Illinois for Carvana. So they're promoting a team in a state they can't even do business in. So I think that one takes the cake. But this one, on top of my, I just don't really agree with their design principles on this one. I think I would maybe give them a little bit of grace on that one and say they're the second worst with that. But
the MS Paint inspired crest that they've got going on right now. It's just, I don't love it. I don't know anyone who's fully enamored with their kits, but look, I'm a stickler, because if you ask me, my favorite kit that we have ever done as a club, and maybe it's just nostalgia, but it is that first YouTube all black kit that we had. It's still my favorite out of all of them. So I don't know. Maybe I just like starting off things, doing it right the first time.
Well, look, if San Diego is going to put a banned substance in chrome on their jerseys and use it as kind of the focal point of their uniforms, I think it also should come with a Prop 65 warning, since we're in California and everyone seems to have one. So right. Maybe that's next for them.
There you go. Look, real quick, let's talk about their first 5 matches. Of course, they did us all a favor, and I guess maybe the enemy of your enemy is your friend. So we were stoked to see them start their season off with a 2-0 win against Carson. Anders Dreyer, who surprisingly isn't either of our players to watch, but we'll talk about him in just a little bit. Anders Dreyer with 2 goals, both goals in the 2-0 win against the Galaxy. They drew at home, nothing like opening up Snapdragon to a 0-0 draw to St. Louis. There you go. And then they went on the road. Look, they beat a very good RSL team by scoring 2 goals after the 90th minute, 2 goals in stoppage time, Anders Dreyer with another. So you have to like a club that can go on the road to a hostile environment, as hostile, I guess, as Sandy, Utah can be, and come away with 2 goals after stoppage time for a 3-1 win. 1-1 home draw to the Crew. So let's see, 0-0 at home and 1-1 at home so far. And honestly, it was kind of a gift of a win. The Crew went down to 10 men after a 61st minute red card. And that's how San Diego was able to score the goal after the Crew went down to 10 men. So a 1-1 comeback point, I guess, feels good at home. But when you have to do it against a 10-man Columbus Crew, who were pretty tired, by the way, from their first several matches of the season, kind of like our first several were. But then they go on the road to Austin and suffer their first defeat in club history, a 2-1 loss to the Fighting Ilie Sanchez's. But the big news out of that one for San Diego was San Diego native and current U.S. men's national team darling Luca De La Torre getting on the score sheet for them. They do have a nice blend of MLS veterans, San Diego natives, and some names that are really driving the bus that we will talk about. But Lafferty, what I love most, we talked obviously about Tom Penn running the show down there. And if anybody knows, no, not that Penn, Tom Penn, LAFC started their maiden voyage, their first several seasons with Tom Penn helping to drive the bus for sure. And then he left the club to go make COVID supplies like masks and stuff. And if you believe that, there's a small bridge in Brooklyn that Philly will try to sell you once or twice. Not sure why Tom Penn left. And then all of a sudden, he shows up at San Diego FC. So, look, as I know a lot of people in the front office feel about Tom Penn at LAFC, I'll say this. There's not going to be any love lost for him when we kick things off down in San Diego tomorrow. But Lafferty, there is a big LAFC connection, not just Steve Cherundolo from San Diego, but 3 players who will at least be in uniform, if not on the pitch, that have very strong LAFC ties. And of course, beginning with one of our keepers from back in the day, Pablo Cisniega.
Pablo Cisniega, I mean, familiar name for those of us in the early years of LAFC. Kind of lost track of where he went after that 2021 season, but where he was featured heavily for us. But now he makes his way back to Southern California, finding himself here as the backup for San Diego, and in a role that, with a new team like this, who knows, as long as he stays ready, there's a good chance that he'll also find himself with some more minutes and some more burn throughout this season for them, just with all of the unknown of with what San Diego is still building and getting familiar with everybody and finding out who the best players are going to be. So, he's kind of just got to stay warm right now. But, at some point, I'd expect that maybe we can see Pablo. He's proven himself as a pretty decent keeper. And if he's going to be your backup, if he ever has to come in, I think San Diego has to feel okay about it. I'm not inspired, but it's a backup keeper option that's very solid for a brand new team.
Yeah, and look, Pablo, he comes from incredible stock, as they say. Both of his parents were athletes for Mexico in the Olympics. His father, Ivar, who we had several great conversations with Ivar when Pablo was with LAFC. He was a pentathlete in 3 different Olympics for Mexico, 1980, 84, and 88. And his mom is a high jumper in 1992 for Mexico as well. So the athleticism gene for Pablo Cisniega, he did pretty well there with mom and dad both competing for Mexico at the highest levels there in the Olympics. So it'll be nice to see Pablo Cisniega again. He has been the second keeper in all 5 of their matches so far, has not taken the pitch at all. And don't worry, Kick a Ball Pod, getting to him in just a minute. A player who's made a much bigger impact for San Diego FC early on than I think he did for LAFC in his stint was the son of one of our head scouts, a guy that you might have heard of who has over 100 goals in MLS, Juan Pablo Angel's kid. That would be Tomas Angel. He has played in all 5 matches for San Diego, started the last 3. They take him off just after about the 60th minute mark or so. 2 assists in his first 3 matches. but he is not on loan, you guys. Luca Bombino, not on loan. We'll talk about that in just a second because it's actually the next person that I'm getting to right now. But yeah, Tomas Angel, 2 assists in his first 3 matches. Couldn't really do it for us. Had some moments in the Open Cup, but it's awfully hard finding space in the front line, getting ahead of guys like Carlos Vela, Denis Bouanga. I mean, it was a logjam up top, that's for sure.
Yeah, and he was somebody that I think showed good promise with his limited time that he played with us, but there was just not going to be room for him with our people in his position and on our team, and so he has to go somewhere else for the better opportunity. He's going to find that in San Diego. He's already proven it where he's got a lot more playing time than he would have had with us. So he's in a good spot. The better opportunity for him. And we'll just have to see what he does with that opportunity.
Yeah, and you guys are about to hear Scarf say he was wrong. I apologize. He is on loan. Luca Bombino, the third kid that I want to talk about, he is on loan, but he does have a permanent transfer option with San Diego. My apologies. Yes, Luca Bombino is on loan through the 2025 season. I do think with him, let's talk real quick about something that I am so happy for him starting the last 2 games at left back for San Diego. I'm telling you right now, the reason why they're starting him is because by the end of the year, maybe even before that, they are going to trigger that buy clause for sure. I was hoping beyond hope that Luca Bombino would get minutes for LAFC. First of all, he was wearing, I believe, number 42, which that's one of my favorite numbers throughout sports. I think with San Diego, he's wearing 27. I'll have to double check that. But again, this is a kid who I saw play several years ago with LAFC 2 and thought he's got a shot, especially with the way that Steve Cherundolo likes to use those outside backs. But my goodness, he's finally getting the opportunity to play for San Diego FC. When he takes the pitch against us, I have no problem saying that I'll be rooting for 11 guys likely wearing half-collared shirts, and there are 10 guys anyway, and Hugo Lloris, and 1 guy wearing some sort of chrome for San Diego FC in Luca Bombino. We know he is a friend of the pod, as you, Chris Lafferty, got to experience out in Coachella.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting, not meeting him, but meeting his parents who were walking around wearing a Defenders of the Bank shirt. Had a great chat with them. And I hope that if they're listening tonight, again, we're going to continue the train of having nothing but great things to say about Luca. And I'm excited that he gets the opportunity to feature on a team, just like we were talking about with Angel. Look, here's the thing. There was just a logjam with our team, and you can't keep everybody, especially if you're not going to play him. And so for a guy like Luca Bombino, who's got a lot of potential, somebody that we saw a lot in, I'm happy that they're getting these chances, even if it's elsewhere. So
absolutely.
I want to see how he continues to grow and maybe where he progresses and moves on to after San Diego, if anywhere else. So again, shout out to Luca and his parents, and thanks for being fans of the show. And hey, best of luck this season. I'll say it.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, there are very few players that I'll root for during the 90 minutes that we are playing against them. I have no problem saying one of those guys is wearing an Austin shirt this year, and another one of those guys is wearing a San Diego FC shirt for sure. Look, San Diego have used 21 players through their first 5 matches. Only 4 players have played every minute for them. 2 of them might not surprise you. Of course, CJ Dos Santos, their goalkeeper, who they got from the Inter Miami system, and Anders Dreyer, who leads the club with 3 goals scored. He has been a revelation at right wing for San Diego. 2 players who are neither of our players to watch, but CJ Dos Santos, I mean, look, he already has 2 shutouts in his first 2 matches, so props to him. Having a very good season, getting out of the shadow, if you can call it that, of Drake Callender in Miami. The other 2 players who have played every single match is their captain, Danish midfielder. I'm going to butcher the heck out of this, but I believe it's Jeppe Tverskov, the Danish midfielder, and then Swedish center back who spent a lot of time with a couple of different teams in MLS before coming to San Diego is Christopher McVeigh. So those will be players who we'll likely see in the starting 11. That's 4 of your starting 11 so far. But it's safe to say, I'm going to leave Chris Lafferty to talk a lot more about this player in a minute for an obvious reason. But most of the butts in the seats in the entire Snapdragon Stadium will be there to watch Chucky Lozano. Chucky Lozano is as good as it gets in the history of El Tri. 18 goals in 70 matches, 124 goals in 428 matches for, among other teams, Pachuca, PSV Eindhoven, and Napoli. He is one of the best stories of a Mexican player going overseas and really succeeding with both Eindhoven and Napoli. We're talking Champions League matches at the highest level. So really stoked to see Chucky Lozano live. And I know a lot of other LAFC supporters, privately and or publicly, will be there hoping to see Chucky Lozano do something fun in the stadium, providing we're probably up 3 or 4-0 at that point.
Yeah, hopefully he just gives them a nice little send home. Well, here's a nice little consolation prize, if you will.
Yeah.
For the home team there. Look, going back to that though, I have a lot of faith in us, our guys going down there, as we'll talk about with our predictions and players to watch, etc. But I wanted to go back and point out what we were talking about with their records so far. San Diego has been doing a lot better on the road than they have at home.
Yeah.
Putting up goose eggs in their first home match, which were probably the cheapest eggs you can find. But I'm glad that made you laugh. I was sitting on that one for a while.
It's an egg joke. Look, I'll take an egg joke. There you go.
Yeah, usually when I tell a joke, it's egg on my face. So that's a pretty good one.
That's 2 egg jokes. Look at you. You got 2
baby, I'm on fire. It's a Friday night. I'm fired up. Hey, look. But one thing that tells me though about San Diego is that they're pretty gritty. And look, they can win against RSL on the road. Sure, maybe not the most, hostile of environments, but also it's Utah in early March. I mean, not the most tropical weather, certainly not San Diego weather, that's for sure. So they were playing with a lot going against them in a lot of these matchups that they had. And, there weren't really blowouts here, which maybe some people would expect from a new team. So I want to give them credit going into this and not look at it as a pushover by any means, because they're able to put up goals, even if they're only really coming from one person. And they're still being gritty. If they can find ways to win on the road, that says a lot. And now they haven't been able to connect at home, but you got to think that in a big matchup like this, with all their excitement, that they're at least going to we know they're going to bring their best effort.
Yeah, and look, the grit, a lot of that, in my opinion, comes from a club trying to prove itself. I mean, it's crazy to me that this will be the 7th team that we will have played our first match against since we came into the league. It seems like we're still some of the young pups in the league. I know we've been in the league now 8 seasons. It just seems to me like only yesterday it was 2018 and I was flying back down from watching the win in Seattle. But now LAFC, who again are 6-0-0 against a team playing in their first season when LAFC plays them for the first time. That's the weirdest, craziest stat ever. But every time we play a new team, we've beaten them the first time we've played them. Let's put it that way. 6-0-0. I got that out eventually. Holy yikes. Either way, I think a lot of that grit, I'm really looking forward. I think Omar mentioned in the chat that Denis Bouanga is going to eat tomorrow because they have no center backs. They use a rookie from Charlotte. They do have one guy, Paddy McNair. I really think he's where they get a lot of their grit. The Northern Ireland native, 73 caps for Northern Ireland, 7 goals, 219 matches with Middlesbrough, came up and played matches with Sunderland, with West Brom, 27 matches with Manchester United after coming up through the Manchester United system. This is a guy at center back who will give you all the grit and determination that you could possibly ask for. So that's going to be a really fun matchup to see Patty McNair there at center back. I mean, we love our defenders of the bank. Aaron Long might have his hands full there in the box if Patty McNair gets gritty. It's going to be a lot of fun. Last thing I want to talk about before we get into our players to watch is everybody heading down there. We are expecting there to be a large number of LAFC faithful making the 2-hour drive or so down to Snapdragon. It's going to be a raucous atmosphere. There are tons of supporters tickets that have gone out. I know a lot of them you guys are already down there now in San Diego for a lot of our supporters. I'll be going down tomorrow morning. Really excited about heading to the match, but want to remind everybody, for all of the LAFC supporters, the most important thing is being able to get back home and be safe and go to work and say hi to your family and all that other stuff. Look, we've seen some really dumb stuff by San Diego FC on social media, and I'll talk about that in a little bit again. But the burning of the jerseys and all the other stuff, it's so silly to me. It's like, I'd say act like you've been there before, but they haven't been there before. So that's okay. I'm sure there was silly stuff that we were doing in 2018. I don't know that it ever came to the level that I've seen some of the clown shoes stuff that's going on down in San Diego right now. But I just want to remind everybody as we travel down to and then back from, and we spend all of our time in and around San Diego, that we all want to get back home to LA so that we can enjoy beating up on Lionel Messi just a couple of days later.
Yeah, and that's going to go towards one of my keys that I talk about in coming up here. But yeah, look, these guys are new. They don't even know what they're doing. They're burning jerseys and stupid. It's stupid. Just let them be amateurs. We're LAFC. We're the 3252. We don't need to go down to their level with all of this stuff. They're burning their jerseys. By the way, thanks for buying our jersey. That's all I got to say to them.
Right.
No, they don't look. They can't get under my skin. I understand they're trying to get riled up. They're trying to invigorate their fan base, whatever. But please, just enough of it. Enough of this.
All right. So let's get to it. Let's get to the players to watch. And you know me, I like to do a little bit maybe of a deeper dive. I do want to say, first and foremost, I wanted to put Luca Bombino as my player to watch for this, but to me, that wasn't a deep enough dive on this one. Luca's been doing so well over the last 2 matches that I'll be watching him anyway. So Luca, Luca's family, don't worry. I'll be watching plenty of Luca. But my players to watch in this one, it centers on the midfield for me. And you're going to hear that a little bit of my keys to the match as well. But I got the pleasure with Philly a couple of days ago, actually yesterday. Was it yesterday? A couple of days ago. To talk with Sasha Klestjan about LAFC and the season that we've had so far. And
great interview. I watched it earlier today. Sorry to interrupt. Watch that interview. Great job by you and Philly and Tim over at Soccer in 60. Doing a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely appreciate it. Look, the player that he mentioned, unprovoked, unsolicited, we didn't ask him about this player, was Igor Jesus. And he said, look, the way that you've asked this young kid to play on the ball as much as he has, giving him the 6th shirt and everything else that we do with Igor Jesus, he has not been my player to watch in any of the matches this season, but I've come away after every single match going, man, did you see everything that Igor Jesus did? Yes, he is still going to make some young buck mistakes from time to time. We saw him against Club America make a mistake. There's been a couple of others, but you know what? We ask him to do so much on the ball so regularly at such a young age. And oh, by the way, come on over to America. Come get acclimated to all the culture and living in Los Angeles and being that young and really not making a whole ton of money and not knowing a ton of people here. Oh, by the way, go play for one of the marquee clubs in the entire league and play in one of our most important positions. Well, you know what? I got to tell you, Igor Jesus has done everything that we could have asked of him, and I know all my eyes will be on number 6 in that match. And I got to dive a little deep because I was doing some research on teams from Finland, Norway, Cyprus before he came to San Diego. Oni Valakari, the midfielder from Motherwell. That's right, Scotland. Scotland. It is so much fun to watch the lineup for San Diego FC because I don't think they have two players starting in the lineup from the same country. And when they have players come off the bench, they're from somewhere else too. That is why this is truly the world's game. But I got to tell you, he has been a revelation in the midfield. 1 goal and 2 assists in just over 200 minutes for Oni Valakari. That is not a lot of time to make that much of an impact, and he is every bit the attacking midfielder that San Diego needs, driving that engine in the middle. So I think it's going to be up to Igor Jesus, obviously Mikey Delgado, and hopefully we'll get a good game from Timothy Tillman to really limit the midfield prowess of both guys like Luca De La Torre, who people expected. They expected the San Diego native to come in and be as good as he has been. San Diego football, thank you for the shout out on that one. But it's a player like Oni Valakari, it's a player like Anders Dreyer, who have been doing things that maybe they didn't think would happen this early on, who have really been the catalysts for San Diego. Chris Lafferty, I went for like a little bit more of a diamond in the rough-ish, guys. It's safe to say that you're taking kind of Philly's role in this one. Is that not correct?
Well, with good reason. But I want to say I didn't do nearly as deep dive as you did, where you found a guy named Mikey Delgado, who I didn't even know it existed. So that's how deep Scarf went. That is the in-depth reporting you get here at Defenders of the Bank.
Sorry. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Go on, sir.
Well, hey, look, if you're following the chat, which I highly recommend, especially if you're watching us live on YouTube, which I also recommend, Rob asked if that was the bat phone on my desk behind Aaron to dial up for Bawanga. But hey, you know what? I'm going to dial number 22 here and call on Cengiz Under to keep on doing what he's doing. Here's why I went with him as my player to watch. Whenever you're watching him in all the games that he's played and all the minutes, whether it's starting or off the bench, he brings this level that is just above everybody else, if not one level, levels above. His passing is elite. His shots are right there, and they're just hammering the goalkeeper if they're not going in. And also, he's just so hard to defend. But not only that, he's setting his teammates up with opportunities there. He had a great assist to Martinez a while back, and he also, with that set piece in the game against Kansas City, set that game up for the Aaron Long knee shot. So look, you're seeing a lot of dynamic play from Cengiz Under that is just levels above everybody else that's opposing him. And I think that he's just doing so much for us, even if it's not him putting the goals in for us, that he really needs to get his praise. And that is a guy that I'm going to continue to look for, because I think we're seeing a guy like Martinez get his confidence back up. And that a lot of that is going to have to do with just how good Cengiz Under is setting him up to be successful. I think that guys like Bawanga are really going to get that help, and maybe that they need with a guy like Under in there. He's going to be the catalyst for everybody on our team for getting that offense going, which we've so badly needed since we began the season. And I just have full faith in him, and I know that he's going to be the guy that we're not only going to have to watch tomorrow, but for the rest of his time with us. Going on to who we should watch for San Diego FC, you may call this the low-hanging fruit, but look, Chucky Lozano, he was their splash, their first signing. This was their marquee guy that San Diego wanted to bring in, and he's got all the expectations of that role. So look, but in that time, he hasn't put a goal. He hasn't registered a goal yet. He's got one assist, I want to say, 1 or 2 assists, but he's got the expectations to be their leader, their goal scoring leader on the team, and he hasn't lived up to that yet. So what better opportunity than at home, when you haven't been producing in front of your own fans, against a marquee team like LAFC, with what's going to be a really hostile atmosphere, with both the opposing fan bases really going at it all day. And I think if there's ever a time for a big time player like Chucky Lozano wants to be to step up in a big time moment, it's tomorrow. And they haven't had as big of an opportunity that they've had all season. They have not had as big an opportunity all season as they have tomorrow against a team of our caliber. So that's why I'm looking for Chucky Lozano to really step up, because his team needs him, quite frankly, to step up. Scarf, I think you got Scarf. I think you're on mute, buddy.
I went to cough and then I muted myself. That's 3. All right. They say things happen in 3s. We got me getting Luca Bambino's contract wrong. We got Marky Delgado, who plays for LAFC. I don't know what team Mikey Delgado plays for. I apologize. And then that's 3. The mute button. Don't worry, guys. I'm good. This is liquid death is just iced tea. That's all I'm having right here. Scarf is off the rails right now. But that being said, real quick, want to remind everybody, Chucky Lozano, who has been, dealing with a hamstring issue for quite some time, he is expected to be in the 18 and will see some time. Olivier Giroud, because I know you guys are all wondering about Olivier Giroud, he looks eligible for selection as well. But it looks like Jeremy Ebobisse could potentially be dealing with a leg issue right now. So that's something to take a look at. He may not be available tomorrow. But that being said, let's get to the keys to the match. I've got 2. The first is obviously to win the midfield. I think this will be a real test for LAFC because of the talent that they have in the midfield at San Diego. Luca De La Torre is one of those players who you just build your midfield around. He is a very, very good midfielder. The San Diego native will be looking to show up and show out in the midfield. And again, their captain, Jeppe Zverskov, the Danish midfielder, he's played every single minute for them. So it's going to be really interesting to see how LAFC responds with Igor Jesus, with Mark Delgado, and of course, Timothy Tillman. We mentioned Dreyer a couple of times, Genuine Cougar, but again, these are our players to watch. And while he is leading the team in scoring, I don't think Anders Dreyer is going to have as much to say about this match. Watch me be wrong. But my second key to the match is to remind everybody in San Diego the pecking order that's important for your football club. You win on the pitch, and then you win in the stands, and then you can go ahead and try whatever you want on social media. It has been comical to watch all of the San Diego faithful get all up in arms because LAFC is heading down. And we've seen the name of the 3252 insulted a bunch of times. We've seen a jersey get burned. We've seen all kinds of clown shoes stuff. I just want to remind you, you can have all the social media posts you want, but you got to do something on the pitch first. And frankly, after a very nice start where you were undefeated through 3 matches, obviously undefeated through 4, but you had a gift of a win against Columbus. And then when you played in hostile territory for the first time, if we can call Austin that, because they do put on a nice game day experience, Ilie and the boys showed you how to do it on the road. So I just want to remind everybody, it's pitch, stands, and then socials. I know San Diego, you might have things a little mixed up there, but that's okay. Pitch, stands, and then socials. Chris Lafferty, you have one key, and I'm really interested to hear you explain this one here. All he sent me was 2 words: get arrogant.
Yeah, look, we're LAFC. I'm sick of watching what we do historically, which is kind of play down to our opponents sometimes, especially when we know that we're better than them. I just don't want to see us do that again tomorrow and maybe play into San Diego being at home and us on the road. Look, we took a 15-minute flight to get to San Diego today. Our team did. We've got to have that confidence. We got to take that shot, take our shots, be aggressive, and just overall, like, put more, just hammer the goalkeeper. And when you get close, start taking shots. Take them from outside the 18. Put San Diego's defense on their back heels, because you know what? At the end of the day, these are the new guys. we got to show them who we are. We're LAFC. That means a lot. I don't know. San Diego can talk all they want. They've been in here for less than it takes for me to drink a cup of coffee. So I don't want to hear it from them. Their fans can do whatever stunts they want, but it means nothing to me. We're one of the top teams in the league. I really believe that we're going to be one of the top teams of the league, if not the top, at the end of the season. And I don't want to go down to San Diego and kind of tiptoe around there. We got to be the big dogs that we are. And I think that all stems back to my player to watch, which was Cengiz Under. When you go watch him out there, do you see him get starstruck or intimidated or maybe a little hesitant when he's out there? No, he's not even. I don't even know if he's impressed when you watch him play out there. Cengiz Under is a guy that's like, I know I'm bigger than this. I know I'm better than whoever I'm playing. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to smack them around, and I'm going to show them just who the heck I am. And that's the attitude that I want for the entire team to go down to San Diego. And as much as San Diego is looking to make a statement win at home in front of their fans for the first time and get a win, I want us to make a statement win by going on the road and raining on their parade.
I love it. I love every bit of it. Look, I think for everybody, by the way, wondering about tailgates and all that, I believe the Orange Lot is where you will want to be. It opens up at 2:30 tomorrow. So make sure you check out the Orange Lot for that one. I absolutely love it. Look, LAFC's got to bring the thunder tomorrow. They need to own the midfield, and they need to do it in a physical way. We saw us get bodied off the ball several times last season en route to a disappointing end. But players like Igor Jesus and Mark Delgado just don't get bodied off the ball like that much anymore. So it is definitely fun to see. I'm playing this one a little bit more conservatively. I've got this one as a 2-1 win for LAFC. Yes, Denis Bouanga will be available. He is coming back from playing all 180 minutes for Gabon in international duty with wins over Seychelles and Kenya. And I believe he had 2 goals in the win over Seychelles. So he is in form. He is ready to roll. But again, I think I'm being a little bit more conservative with this one because I think San Diego is going to come out full of, as they used to say, piss and vinegar. Is that something I can say? I don't know. I just said it.
That is something that they say and something you can say. Sure.
There you go. I said it. So I think they're going to come out, and it's up to us to kind of weather the first 15 or 20 minutes, because while I'm sure they were super excited to welcome St. Louis and Columbus as their first 2 home matches at Snapdragon, something tells me all of these San Diego sports faithful, all of those, real hardcore Padres fans that they have down there, they're going to be en masse in Snapdragon. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how LAFC responds to the first 20 minutes or so of the match. I do not think at any point that we'll be down in the match, but even if we are, Steve Cherundolo's not worried. He's a San Diego native. San Diego, they're laid back, they're chill. They don't worry about deficits, especially when you have the club in front of you that Steve Cherundolo has. I think we'll be fine. I do think it's a 2-1 victory, but you, sir, are a little more bullish than I am.
Yeah, look, I just talked about it where I want us to get arrogant. I want us taking shots. Rob in the chat asked me to dial up Bouanga on the phone. Oh, hello, Denis? Yeah. Okay, Scarf wants you to put one in. I want you to put one in. That's 2. Who else is going to take the other one for us? Look, I think we got 3-1 LAFC. When you go back and watch the first half of the Kansas City match, we should have been up 4-0. Like, that's how many opportunities we had. And we were giving our best effort. But I think we just got to get a little more crisp with where the direction of our shots are going. And if we start hammering the San Diego defense like we should, we're going to start getting lucky if we start making ourselves these opportunities that we deserve to have. And I think that we're going to go down there. We're going to make a statement. Under's going to start firing away. Bouanga's going to start firing away. We're going to see Martinez and Ordaz step up. We don't know the health of Giroud or Abobasi. I hope they're both healthy, and if they have the opportunity to get in tomorrow, I really want to see a lot from them. But if not, I hope the other guys can step up for us and they can continue to rest as we finally start to show our depth in the front. So I'm going 3-1, and you know what? That's being generous. I really think that our guys have the capability of it. We haven't been able to really string along a lot of high scoring performances so far, but I think tomorrow is where we at least start to knock down that door.
No, I love it. I see C-Rod 3252 in the chat saying that Under will score his first goal. A lot of people very bullish on Cengiz Under scoring his first goal in an LAFC shirt. I think it is in short order that we'll see one from Cengiz. He has been simply electrifying out there. All right, folks. We normally don't go 45 full minutes on a one more sleep, but obviously with this being the first in the Cherundolo Clasico, the Surfliner Showdown, or whatever else it is that we are going to call this thing. I'm really excited to head down to San Diego. Ruben knows it. Don't forget, like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. You can get your very own Chris Lafferty and scarf worn. Well, I won't wear it. But Defenders of the Bank Saved by the Bell inspired shirt. Again, big shout out to Dexter Quinn for all the wonderful merch that he designs with my really detail-oriented butt that gets in the way sometimes as well. So appreciate you, Dexter. And again, as I say on all of our things, you guys, we so appreciate any way that you access the Defenders of the Bank content, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, all your different podcast platforms, or here on YouTube. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And we will see all of you guys down in San Diego tomorrow. Remember, everybody, be safe. And you know how we like to end all these things. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.